Hey, what's up, good people? It's Jay Ray, the co host of Q Points, and I wanted to come to you because there are two really important ways that you can support our show. One is by subscribing to it wherever you listen to or watch your podcasts. Q Points is pretty much everywhere. The other thing that you can do is you can visit us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and on Podchaser, and you can leave us a star rating. Please rate us 5 stars because you know you love Q Points. And on Apple Podcasts and on Podchaser, you can actually leave us a written review. It's not required, but it really does help to spread the word about the show, and it helps people to discover it as they're looking for new podcasts to listen to. We're always appreciative of you supporting Q Points. We thank you so much for all that you've done for us so far, and enjoy the show. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go now. Yes.
Get busy. All right. Are y'all ready? Y'all ready? Because we are. I know I am. Look, because it's all about. Let me stop. Because I was about to go off into the. You know where I was headed with that, right, Jay Ray?
I do.
Because it's all about control.
And we have lots of it.
Control of what we say and right. Okay, let's be serious for 1 second. All right, I'm gonna control what we say right now. All right, we are in control of this particular show because it's Q Points, and I'm DJ Sir Daniel,
and my name is Jay Ray, sometimes known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay the Third. What's happening, y'all?
Listen, welcome back to another exciting edition of Q Points, your favorite visual podcast and safe space for meaningful discussions about Black music and the artists that we love. Can you tell who we're going to be talking about tonight? Can you tell?
I don't know. I don't know. This show is a mystery to me. I'm just here. I came for the excellence, but no, y'all know who this is about. And we have such love for this artist, and we love her so much, Sir Daniel. Can we just say we love her so much that she done changed our whole vibe? Like, we got a new background, we got new colors, we doing the whole thing, and it's literally because that's right, K Maxwell. That's right, Carlton. It's because we are celebrating the Janet Demita Jo Jackson. Yes.
Absolutely. J. Ray, we are less than 24 hours away from a television event, the likes of which we haven't seen in decades. As a matter of fact, J. Ray, can you think of the last time a documentary or a movie centered around a Black musician has made you this excited?
I don't know that there has been any television. I have anticipated television specials before. Interestingly enough, the one that I can remember is Michael Jackson's Bad. So it's funny, it involves another Jackson, right? I remember that whole campaign and that whole rollout. But for real, this that's happening tomorrow, and by the way, I'm going to put this on the screen. We are hosting our Q Points Janet Jackson documentary watch party. The link is right there, and we'll drop it in the chat as well. But please join us. There's still room to join us for this event tomorrow. But to answer your question, I can't remember being this connected to a television event about a Black musical artist ever in my life. I'm extremely excited about this.
I share your excitement. I'm thinking, so last year, and I think it was around this time last year, we were getting ready for the Salt and Pepper movie, or at least I was. And so, yes, I was excited about that. There have been, but to your point, those Michael Jackson specials like Captain EO, all of his videos were like an event. And the same went for Janet. She followed in that ilk as well. But yes, this is, as like you said, I feel a special connection to this particular documentary. I know as fans, that we think we know pretty much everything, but I'm certain there are going to be some revelations during this documentary that we are not necessarily, or we haven't been privy to, because this has taken place was filmed over a 5-year period. So it'll be interesting. It's going to be really interesting. The nostalgia, I'm here for nostalgia.
Yes. and I will say, what excites me about this, I think Janet has always, Janet has always been the mysterious one. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was successful at doing the thing that I think Michael was trying to do with her personal life, right? Because I think for her, it actually meant something to be personal. She was married to Renee forever and no one knew, right?
No one knew.
So actually, I'm excited about this mostly because I'm dying to know the woman behind the person that we see on stage and on our videos mostly. Like, I'm dying to get a glimpse into that and what, her experience and her family life has been like. Because I don't think we know for real her.
Yeah. And I think to that point, that might be some of what a lot of people, the detractors, the people that really don't get it, is because of that, because she's controlled her narrative for the most part. It doesn't stop people from making up stories. But shout out to They Might Be Taping. Yes, thank you. Listen, we put a lot of thought and effort into tonight's special because it's just that important to us. And we know it's important to y'all as well. So tonight's episode of Q Points we're going to be real podcasty right about now, because you're going to be privy to conversation between J. Ray and Sir Daniel, because this is literally how we go off into a tangent on something that we especially connect on. And Janet Jackson is one of those deities that we connect on. And so what J. Ray and I have done is tonight we prepared about 5 questions to ask each other back and forth. We don't know the answers. Shout out to Michael. We see you. Yes. I was telling J. Ray earlier, if I see it, I'm buying it. I don't care how much it is. Well, I do care how much it is. But if it's got a dope picture of her on the cover, even if it's something that I might already have, I'm picking it up. Michael Ward is talking about vinyl envy. But yes. So J. Ray and I are going to be going back and forth, and we're just going to talk Janet, and not even just Janet, but there are going to be some other things that come up out of this conversation, because as most icons do, they affect other parts of our life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, J. Ray, I'm going to let you do the honors.
Oh, okay. I get to go first. This is so exciting. Okay.
Get it cracking.
So before I ask the question, I do want to give a shout out. So I see Michael Ward there in the chat. Shout out to Black Gay Stuck at Home, Black Gay Stuck at Home is not doing their normal event. They coming over to Q Points tomorrow night to hang out at the watch party, and they're amazing, and they've been amazing partners, and they just are dope. So their link is scrolling across the bottom. So make sure that you follow them so that you can join them at their next event. So just wanted to shout that out. So shout out to Michael Ward and Joshua Jenkins. So, all right, my first question for you, Sir Daniel, and I'm gonna just go here since it's the beginning. When did you first notice Janet Jackson?
Oh, that's easy. The very first time I became cognizant of Janet Jackson was during an episode. Well, it was the episode of Different Strokes when Todd Bridges' character, Willis Arm.
There was
Wait, what was
Willis.
that last name?
No, I don't remember their last names.
Um,
Drummond.
Drummond.
Willis Drummond.
Let's just say Drummond. Yeah. So Willis Drummond was meeting his girlfriend or the girl he was interested in at the time, and she was coming over to the house, and the doorbell rang. And there she was, standing framed in the door, with her.
Was it the neck shirt?
With her,
like button way up?
the button way up, the whole Victorian collar, her perfectly coiffed flip hairstyle, the Jacksons, right? Willis Jackson. Her perfectly coiffed feathered haircut, and she kind of had, typical Janet. She kind of had that hunched, like, "Hi, Willis," and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, she is so cute!" Just blown away, and just like completely enamored by this aura of her through the television, as enamored as I could be at that age. Because I think I might have been 6 or 7 at the time. I don't remember. But just that moment, the smile, the electric smile, and just the kind of soft-spoken, pretty, beautiful energy that she had. And I just remember becoming just completely captivated by that. And I don't think I really connected that she was Michael Jackson's sister. I was very aware of who Michael Jackson was, but I don't think at that age I connected that they were siblings. But absolutely, Charlene framed in that doorway when she came over to visit Willis at the penthouse mansion on different shows.
So I didn't know. We don't know what each other's going to say. We share the exact same moment.
Yeah.
Sir Daniel and I share the exact same moment. And it's funny that you talk about this. So the smile that's in our background picture is very similar to that smile, that effervescent smile that was in that door, right? The smile has never changed. And I will never forget, like, it was just like the same feeling you got where it's like, oh, like, who's that? And then later, of course, we learned who it was and all. And then the album, came and all of that stuff. So can I just say that we popping when we start getting spam? Y'all, we getting spam in our lives now. So that means Q Points is popping. So I'm going to just let y'all know. But yeah, me and Sir Daniel, I say the exact same moment with Charlene showing up to the house to see Willis. So that's my first question.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to take it a little. Let's see. Where should I go? So we're talking about effervescent. Yes, you did use that. That's an SAT word. Absolutely. So we're fast forwarding into the career of Janet Jackson, the global superstar. And I often think about her. I think about Diana Ross. I think about Tina Turner. And even more recently, I think about Beyonce. I often wonder how Black women that operate at that level navigate racism. And even though there isn't a corner on the planet where they're not known, where she's not known, I'm positive that it still has to come up. So it's like, do you ever, I don't know, I think about it, but do you ever think about that? Like when she walks into the world in other countries? Because the reason why I thought about this question is recently there was a basketball player in China somewhere, and they were there. They were invited there. They were playing a game. They're well known in the United States, well known over there. And the Chinese people were saying the N-word to him coming off the bus, despite this person being a celebrity. So I was like, I often think about that, about how they navigate racism. And clearly, I know you wouldn't know that, how they do it, but I just think that's something I think about often.
Yeah. I know. Well, here's what we know just based on Janet's career and the work that she's done. One of the things I've always respected about Janet Jackson, in particular, in that starting in that Rhythm Nation era was her leaning into her black womanhood and literally talking about racism on the album. And then there were MTV PSAs throughout the years where she would talk about racism and embracing her blackness as, you know, central to her identity as a pop star, right? She wasn't running away from it at any point. So while I don't know specifically, to your point, right, how she navigated it, what I do know is that she didn't run from it or hide. Like, I think if I were to look at the opposite end, I do feel like Michael in the in-between years was trying so hard to be like commercial that it was like he was trying to do the thing of being seen as Michael Jackson, but not as like Black Michael. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to be universal, which is what so many so many stars of his era wanted to do. They wanted to cross over, right? They wanted to cross over to the pop charts. They could get the big white audience. That was what everyone aspired to. So I felt like he was trying to blur that line. Whereas I felt like Janet's superpower was like, I'm gonna just do a funky ass record. I'm gonna do this black music and put it on the pop stage. And you're going to take me as I am as a black woman. So I think, at least from what I saw, her navigating it was like, no, this is who I am and you're going to take me as I am.
You're absolutely correct. And I think back to the Rhythm Nation moment, especially the huge MTV rollout for Rhythm Nation. And they pointed out in the fact, like, the Knowledge, which is my favorite song off of that album. The video for the performance of the Knowledge, they said there is a part in the Knowledge where Janet takes her thumb and she crosses it across her skin and says racism no, meaning this is not rubbing off.
Right.
This is who I am. Y'all say you love me. You say you love, and she's speaking for a lot of artists that came before her. You say you love us. You say you love the music that we give to you. But what's happening outside of the street, on the streets, outside in society, outside of the music, outside of the concerts, how are people that look like me being treated? And you need to think about that. You need to consider that and look at yourself when it comes to that. So yes, you're right. As far navigating it, she plows right through it. As far as racism,
literally plowing right through it. You know, and actually sticking with that Rhythm Nation time period, which I would just make this confession now, because I've had to think about this a lot. So my favorite Janet album, and it's hard to pick a favorite, like, and when I think of favorites, like, I truly do think of, like, you know, her classic period. So for the albums between Control and the Velvet Rope, right? Even though, you know, I have a Discipline thought. Like, Discipline was like a high point in like the later part of her career. And even Unbreakable, you know what I'm saying, was, I think, like a very good 2015 Janet album. Anyway, favorite Janet album is Rhythm Nation 1814. So even in thinking about just like that period of time and what was also happening in the pop landscape, you have Janet doing a rock song with Black Cat.
Yes.
And it not feeling like it was weird or something that she shouldn't do. It felt perfect for what she should be doing. And then being able to carry that, you know, over into, you know, later records, I thought was also really dope too. So another thing, you know, black woman doing rock, taking inspiration from the Tina Turners of the world and bringing it into her music.
Totally. All right, so hit me with your next one.
So
man.
my next question is deep. That's funny. So Keys, now Rhythm Nation wasn't my first cassette, but I remember when I got Rhythm Nation, and I believe the cassette was black. It was a black cassette, white letters. There's probably actually a picture of that year when I got it that Christmas. My aunt gave it to me for Christmas, so I do remember that. So thanks, Keys, for that little memory. But my second question for you, Sir Daniel, is why do you think people, in particular black people, discount Janet's vocal ability?
So I believe because there's a couple reasons. I think, and this is my opinion, I think let's take the closest reason. If they comparing her to her brother or her brothers and the type of music that they put out and the kind of belting that Michael could do, I think they're probably like, well, she's not doing that, or she's not doing it at that level, then she can't sing. And then on top of that, the black music landscape, the record labels, the record industry was pilfering the black church. So you had a lot of powerhouse vocalists, especially coming from the disco era. You had a lot of big black vocals. I'm talking, you can hear from singing from the back of the church all the way to the front yard. You can hear them down the street, those kind of vocals. And so for Janet to emerge from this superstar family, to take on a solo career after she has been kind of known as an actress for a while, they're just like, well, where is the powerhouse? Where is the belting? And it's subdued. And I think even when she's speaking, I see a lot of people pick on her speaking voice and how reserved it is and how soft it is. And so I think they discount her experience as a singer. And I also think they discount her experience as a black person because her family comes from, the brothers got it bad. The brothers had it hard growing up in Gary until they hit it big and they moved out to California, where she came of age in Beverly Hills with going to school with all the other rich kids and whatnot. So I think kind of black people discount her black experience. And so they take that over into her speaking voice, her singing voice. To your point, her doing a pop record or a rock record. So I think that's where it comes from, this underlying, she ain't all that. That's where it comes from for me. And that's where I think it might come from.
Yeah. No.
How about you?
No, I 100% agree with that as well. Like, I definitely think everything that you just said, absolutely agree with it. I also think there is this, it is easy to recognize the loudest voices in the room. And it's easy to singing doing what Patti LaBelle and Aretha Franklin did and what Whitney Houston did is its own level of difficult, right?
Yes.
The other side of that, though, is when I listen to Come Back to Me and to Lonely and hear Janet's layered vocal, I'm like, baby, and if Harold Pride is watching this, Harold Pride will chime in. Janet's background vocals, go back, y'all, and play them records and listen to where her voice is sitting in the highs and the mids and the lows and stacked to bring those songs. Yes, lyrically they hit. Yes, Jimmy Jam, who somebody said on a post that I think it was DDM that said Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, they put spells in them beats, right? There's all of that, but there's also Janet's ability to sit vocally.
That ear. Your favorites today. Your favorites today sometimes may have an issue singing with their own vocals because they can't get that key. They can't get into that key. They can't match it. We're talking about someone that had to come up in an era where everything was done on tape.
Say it again. Like, so she had to sing it, y'all. It wasn't digital.
So, so I think you posted it one day. Y'all could talk about her vocals being her being wispy and thin and all of that and quiet, but there is a technicality. There is a technical genius to Janet Jackson's vocals that is unmatched, and a lot of people can't do. So I'm just saying, and this kind of leads in, and it sounds like we're standing because we are. And so this kind of leads into my question for you. Can we talk about how Janet is one of the few artists at the nexus of what we refer to as Stan Wars? Because the whole before the 2010s where standing got to a really huge level, there was an era of Stan Wars where Janet Jackson was at the epicenter of Stan Wars. And do you agree that Janet Jackson, I've already stated my position, but do you agree that Janet is like one of the artists that started the whole Stan culture and of fandom, as it were? Because you had people setting up camps of who their favorite artist was, and against who their other people's favorite artist was. So would you agree that Janet is like one of the main artists that started Stan culture?
I absolutely agree with that. So I'm looking up because I'm now going back in time, and I'm specifically going to mention. Here's why I agree with you. I agree with that statement, and here's why I believe that is true, and it was necessary too, because I do think that when we think of big 80s pop stars, Janet is one of those huge 80s pop stars. When you start running down the list, go and look up any list where it's like big pop stars of the 1980s. You won't get past number 15 before seeing Janet Jackson, right? Like she's going to appear before you get to 15. That's a big deal because people were selling millions of albums. Michael Jackson sold so many albums in the 1980s. It's nuts. Madonna, all of them folks, Bon Jovi, all of these huge artists selling albums, right? Janet's one of them. So I think it was necessary because it was only her and Tina Turner. Those was your two black women that you was going to get. You know what I'm saying? It was her and Tina Turner. Whitney Houston. Yes, let's not forget about Whitney. Her, Whitney, Tina. Go ahead.
May I offer Jody Watley? Because Jody Watley around the same time was coming into her solo pop stardom.
But I mean, listen, I love me. I'm talking about, we got to do a Jody Watley show. I love me a Jody, but in terms of like, I'm just talking like sales and like all of them like big 80s pop stars, right? So point is, I think that people would talk about Whitney and they would talk about Tina and they wouldn't want to talk about Janet. You know what I'm saying? Like they would leave her out. And she belongs in that group, just like Carlton just put MJ, Prince, Whitney, Janet, George Michael, Madonna. But there are people that would have left Janet out of that name list. And that is why her Janet fans were like, what you not going to do is act like Control and Rhythm Nation didn't happen in the 1980s.
So Stan culture is a culture. Like she created a community or fostered a community of fans and those things were very important. If you look back, fan clubs have always been a thing. If you look back on albums back in the 50s, there were fan clubs. But then they took it another step further, I believe, like her era of pop stars took it another step further. If you see backstage footage, there's always footage of Janet meeting with fans.
Yep. Always.
And that was very important to make those connections, and I think they value those connections and foster them. But I brought that up because if we're thinking about always wanting to, pit artists against each other, I want to say Janet was like at the beginning of those conversations. Like they were always putting Janet up against Madonna. And to this day, that's still a thing where people still like to talk about or versus who would dare go up against Janet Jackson in a versus hit for hit for hit. Mm-hmm. And they always brought up Madonna because to your point, that was an era of titans. Like you had to sell records, you had to sell out arenas in order to even be in the conversation. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that's why those two came up. But yeah, Janet is like the the original, the OG stan goddess of pop culture.
I agree. So Sir Daniel, so my next question for you, and this is I want you to answer as a DJ, I'll answer as a person who dances. So as a DJ, what is your favorite Janet song to get the party moving?
That's tough.
That is tough.
That is very tough because she literally has a record for every decade. Mm-hmm. She's probably got 3 for every decade. If we want to be, we want to be technically, I see JDJ Lover in the chat is saying "Go Deep." Mm-hmm. Carlton is saying "Throb," and I don't disagree with any of those. Simply because, as a DJ, it all depends on where you are in your set, mm-hmm. where you are. But personally, I take it to the Control album. Can I have 2?
Go ahead.
Okay, so my 2 are Pleasure Principle, because that's a dancer's anthem, mm-hmm. if you ask me. From the breakdown, the intro, that's a dancer's, that's catnip to a dancer. Mm-hmm. And my second one, Carlton beat me to it, When I Think of You. When I Think of You, if to me set creates a scene, mm-hmm. I automatically think block parties. I automatically think falling in love on the dance floor. So those are the types of things, emotions that come up out of me that I want to evoke. Mm-hmm. So When I Think of You and Pleasure Principle are my 2. Drop it and the crowd goes nuts. Mm-hmm. Now, as a dancer, tell me, what is it that you like to hear? What makes you go berserk? What gives you happy feet?
Okay, so what gives me happy feet? And I've never danced to this. I didn't know what I was going to say. When I asked that question, like I had a whole list of songs going through my head. So my selection is going to be Slow Love from Demita Joe, actually.
Huh. Okay.
Here is why. So, and shout out to Mark. Mark has said, Pleasure Principle, Make Me is such a good choice. That was on my list. Together Again, all of the above. So I'm gonna drop that. So Slow Love is a track. It is one of the last tracks on the Demita Joe album. And that joint is a mood. So when I think of a song that makes me think of summer nights, dancing outside under the moonlight and hearing it kind of come over, it's a magical, it's full of ear candy, where you got bells and you got all types of things, and she's singing over this pop dance beat. It's right next to house. It's a dance joint. It's basically a house joint. It's a 4/4. That song right there, I would love. I've never danced to this in the club because no DJ's ever played it that I've been dancing with or dancing to. But I would love to hear that. And if y'all have never heard Slow Love, Go play it because it's beautiful. And the melody, right? All I wanna take you. She does the whole thing, all the Janet stuff over this
Yeah.
dance beat. It's great. So that's my choice.
Nice, nice. Listen, the love is apparent. You can't tell us that we don't know what we're talking about. So anyway, um, yes. So yeah, a lot of people are mentioning "All Night" from the Demeter joke. Like,
Baby.
let's just say this: Janet is a dancer's artist. Janet, and I believe she said this publicly, she has a dancer in mind
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times when she is creating.
Yeah. 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 You could tell.
That's
You could absolutely
unmistakable.
tell. There's the clip that has been circulating where I love watching clips of Janet working on choreography. There are so many clips that you see, but here's one of the ones that I absolutely love. It is from the Janet era.
Okay.
They are doing "If," and they have to
Ooh.
stop because something happens, right? And the dancer
Uh-huh.
is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I did it." And Janet says, "No, it might be me. I think I am." She was like, just saying, like, it might be me. I might be too slow or too fast. Like, so, and she looked at the choreographer and said, "No, it might not be her. It might be me." And what I love is you could tell, like, dancing and the craft of dancing is so important to her. And that's what one of the things that makes her special. So, yes, she always has the dancers in mind.
Absolutely. And I know your question was about, okay, I'm going to go on to my next question because we could get stuck on this all night long. But you brought up "If," and I've said this before. If the breakdown for "If" is like no other.
Right.
Like no other. I get goosebumps just thinking about it. But anyway, so on to my next question. All right. So let's let's see. Oh, J Ray,
Mm-hmm.
would you be okay if Janet Jackson never recorded another album for the rest of her career?
Sure. Sure. I I'm only interested in artists recording when they feel like they have something to say. And so if Janet got to the point where she was just like, I just don't want to do no more records. Okay. We have 40 years of music to pick from. So yeah, it would not bother me at all. I happened to enjoy Made for Now. I thought that was a good. I was like, I enjoyed this song. I get why she's doing it. It's the video was great. She looked amazing. The dancers killed it. Everything was Janet, right? But if she decided that, hey, I'm not going to do this next album, I would be fine with that too. I'm only interested in artists doing things when they want to do it. I think Diana Ross had this really interesting point where she was, I think, on Oprah, and she said, I'll only stop performing. I'll keep performing as long as I sound good. She was like, if I start sounding bad, I'll stop performing. Like, but as long as I sound good, I'll get on stage and I'll keep doing it. I respect that. I absolutely respect that. And for Janet, if she chooses not to release another record, fine. We got enough records to choose from. We got remixes and B-sides and all the things. We're gonna be fine. What about you? Would you be okay with that?
I have to echo you. I am completely okay if Janet says, you know what? Y'all have, to your point, almost 40 years worth of music. You're good. You will deal. And you'll be fine with it. And I'm completely okay with that. She has absolutely nothing else to prove to us. If like you said, if she had something that she absolutely wanted to say and wanted to bring to the forefront, certainly, sure, she's got that real estate to do it. She's an icon. She has the right to do whatever she wants to do musically as an artist. I think also what I do love about Janet is when if you take a few years back to that Billboard performance
Mm-hmm.
when she's wearing the all gold,
Yeah.
and nobody had seen her in a while.
Yeah.
You know, this is post baby Janet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's in her 50s,
Yeah.
and the whole world is like, is she going to be able to give it to us?
Right. Mm-hmm.
What you think? Absolutely, she gave it to us. However, I'm not stupid. There's things that are modified. You know,
Oh yeah, she's not doing
outfit,
all the moves, the outfits, the like. I'm
the
gonna go
outfits,
across.
you gonna enjoy this baggy moment where I'm covered from head to toe, and you're still gonna enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still gonna give you a nice 8 count,
Mm-hmm.
and but it's all done to perfection. It's done. It's not forced.
Mm-hmm.
It's she does it, and she does it right. Whereas some of her counterparts, they're still going and they're still doing things, but they're trying a little too hard. Janet has never been about that life.
You are absolutely right. Because now when I think back on the reason why I actually do enjoy when they do Janet live performances is
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, we're gonna get a good performance. You know what I'm saying? She's gonna do what you expect her to do, and you're gonna get that. So you're gonna leave that 7 minutes that she's on stage happy. You know what I'm saying? And proud that you saw it. Some of her contemporaries from the same era, I'd be like, why are we doing this?
Look, JDJ Lover said it. We didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But JDJ Lover said it in the comments. We didn't name names, but JDJ Lover said it. What's up to J King Holiday in the building? We see you, brother.
What's happening, Jay? So yeah. So okay. Put on your thinking cap. Put on your thinking cap.
All right. Here we go. Hit me. Let's go.
One of the things that Janet Jackson is equally known for, her dance joints, but her slow jams are legendary. What is your favorite Janet slow jam?
Oh, that's kind of hard, but this just happens to be right in the right next to me.
Yes. That's anytime, any place.
Anytime, any place. And let me tell you something. Anytime, any place. Janet keeps that toe on the sultry and the downright filthy. She keeps her toe right there on the border, and I live for it. There's somebody put up a cut of the Anytime Any Place video where there's a scene where an older woman is is looking out of her window and she sees Janet and the model getting it on the kitchen table. And there's a moment where Janet looks over and she sees the old woman and she doesn't flinch. She's just like, you see it? You see what's about to happen? And you're welcome to watch. and you know that I think so she does that. You're right, she does that well. Her slow jams to Jay and Gil's point, those are two of my other favorite ones. Let's Wait a While and Funny How Time Flies. I remember being 11 years old and supposed to be in bed asleep and just waiting for the DJ to play Let's Wait a While again.
Yeah.
That's how much I love. The songs are coming in and everything. It's just hard.
Yeah.
It's just hard to pull from this because you're right. She can do both up tempo and slow jams with the same prowess. It's just ridiculous. And her and Herb Albert, let's not even talk about it.
Child, listen.
You go ahead and talk. Go ahead and talk because I will go ahead.
So, all right. So before I tell you what my favorite Janet slow jam is, and I love that Carlton mentioned Lonely. I'm gonna put a pin. I wanna put a pin in what I'm gonna say and talk about the importance of Lonely, right? I didn't understand that Lonely was about suicidal ideation until I got older. Like somebody saying, "Hey, call when you're feeling lonely," right? And so you have this beautiful melodic slow jam that is speaking to, no, anytime you feel the need, call me when you're lonely. You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
wow. The way you can use your art to speak to people is so dope. So I just wanted to say that.
And
Lonely,
save a life.
it
Save a life, possibly.
absolutely has saved lives. Now I'm gonna take the pen out and okay. So my favorite part, Sir Daniel, I'm sure I've said this to you. My warmth is so good. Moist is so good from Demita Joe, but that's not what my joints are. My favorite part of Janet albums are when the rain starts.
Listen, if you hear a rain interlude,
It's
it's
about
going down.
the record's changing. It's time.
Hold up. Keep going, because there's also no. Keep talking.
So my favorite one that I'm going to pick, because I don't think we talk about this one as much, but anything from the Velvet Rope. Well, first of all, sonically, that record is crazy because it was 1997, so it was doing all the 1997 shit. But yes, anything from the Velvet Rope is like, man, I don't know what's about to go down, but whatever it is, it's about to be a thing.
It's about to be a thing. So I picked up the All For You album. When We Ooh.
When We Ooh is great. And
does anybody in the chat, drop it in the chat. Did you ever make Getting It On tapes or a sex mixtape? Raise your hand if you made a sex mixtape and you had like several Janet Jackson songs on that sex mixtape.
Yeah. Anything was definitely on there.
When We Ooh was definitely on that for me.
Oh my gosh. So
Whoa.
all right, what's your question for me, Sir Daniel? What's your question?
Okay, yes, because we need to cool down after all of that. Let's see. All right, so this is important, I think, when we talk about we're bigging up Black women and we're bigging up Janet Jackson, but why do we find it so easy to speak disparagingly of our women artists and also pit them against each other? Why is that so easy for us to do?
Oh, so I'm going to ponder this, and I'm going to ponder it out loud because I think it'll form itself as I say it. I think it's conditioning, and I think it's conditioning that comes down from slavery, in the sense, you know what I'm saying? Like there's, house Negroes and field Negroes. And if you work in the kitchen, you probably, or if you are the caretaker for the kids, you might have more rights and privilege, or more privilege than the person who does whatever. So I think that this is kind of like a byproduct of that, where it can only be one. You know what I'm saying? Like it can only be one. And so if you like Whitney, you can't like Janet, which is absolutely ridiculous because they did two completely different kinds of music. It's okay that Whitney wasn't into Janet. Whitney, we saw the documentary, and we know what she said. That's okay because she can like what she likes. But for us, I think we have been taught that when it comes to Black folks, you can't like everybody. You know what I'm saying? You got to pick. And so I think that it's really easy to do it with Black women, because I do think the industry for so long, it couldn't be more than one. Like, how many years did we just have Nicki Minaj? It wasn't other It wasn't that there wasn't other women MCs. You know what I'm saying? How many years? We was lucky to have Rihanna and Beyonce at the same time for a long time, right? But they were also doing two completely different things and also virtually part of the same camps, right? You know what I'm saying? There was like a Jay-Z connection with both.
Absolutely.
That was rare though. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, it was like, well, you kind of have to pick and choose. You know what I'm saying? Who you going to get that soars. And I really do think that comes from a sinister place that
Yeah.
tells us that we have to make a choice. And so, yeah, that's where I think that comes from. What about for you?
I totally agree. It's unfortunate that a lot of people don't have the yes and mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's all or nothing for a lot of people. But you can absolutely love Mariah Carey, and you can absolutely still bop to a J Lo song. You can absolutely adore Little Kim and ride out to Nicki and Remy and whoever. This is a yes and type of world. And I think that if we start thinking along yes and, I love such and such, yes, and I'm going to also go to this person's concert. I think that will spill over into our personal lives and the way we interact with each other if we had a yes and mindset. It, when it comes to social gatherings, social cliques, or whatever, you either have to be down with this group or that gang or whatever. It all spells out in different facets of community and the world. And sometimes it's to our detriment if we're not careful.
Yeah.
So it seems harmless, when we start pitting, especially when we pit black women against each other, because let's face it, black women already have a whole lot to deal with
Absolutely.
outside the community than for us to do what we do to them within the community.
Yep.
So there's that.
Yeah.
But as far as us as listeners, life would be much doper if you had a yes and mind thought.
Agreed.
When you go to your favorite platform or YouTube to listen and watch your favorite artists, they get it. They send you different artists that, well, if you like this, then you'll enjoy this.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason. It's an algorithm, yes. Somebody's trying to make money off of it, but there's some truth to it. Think about it. Just open your mind to different things. But yeah, it's sad, but it's true. It does speak to a very sinister and dark moment in the collective life of Black people in this country. And unfortunately, we see it play out in popular culture, especially when it comes to Black women who are iconic, who gain the attention of the nation, who wield power with that attention. Some people try to tear down that power, and that's the main thing they like to do, is to start tearing them down by pitting them against each other.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, who knew we was going to go all the way there?
Listen. So this is my final question for you, Sir Daniel.
Okay.
And I didn't write this question down because I didn't know what the last question was going to be. And now I do know. So what are you most hoping to learn from the documentary when you see it?
I guess, honestly, I want to know what the parts that she enjoyed the most of her journey. We always, if you look at Unsung and any kind of documentary they pull out, everything was fine until, that's the part that everybody really tunes into and tunes up for. But I really want to see where she had the most fun. I really want to see who who her good girlfriends are in the industry. If we get to see that, like I want to see, is she chit chatting on the phone with Mariah, because I know they have a kind of a relationship, or Beyonce or Mary. I think they have those kind of relationships. It would be really cool to see that play out, because I love to see. Just speaking upon what we just spoke of in the last segment, I would love to see that togetherness, that camaraderie. Those are things that excite me, and I'm hoping that some of that is revealed in starting tomorrow night.
Yes.
Tomorrow night. What are you looking forward to finding out that you think you didn't know?
Ooh.
Or do you have a question? Like if Janet was here, like anything you'd want to ask her?
No. Oh, that's a whole different thing. I don't know that I have an answer. It would be so weird. I don't know that I have an answer for that yet. Yeah. I think that that's funny. JDJ Love, Janet probably got group chats with all the shade. I bet you that is true.
Please let me in the group chat.
I want to see what's in that group chat, child.
I promise I won't screenshot.
No, well, you know what? I saw somebody posted. So people have been, and I've been trying to not watch too many of them because, they're not sanctioned. People have been posting like little clips because I think they sent out some screeners.
Yeah.
I saw, what I was so excited about is I saw a creative moment of Janet and Michael together with Scream.
Yes.
One, there was two things that was dope. So what I'm interested in seeing are the creative moments, because I think it goes back to our beginning thing of or our earlier conversation about Janet's vocal ability, where I think it will also illuminate, oh, here's why this was the magic sauce. Like, this is why she was as dope as she was. I was watching her on the little laptop kind of coaching Michael, which was really amazing to see, where she was like, you know what? I said, because she had kind of creative control, and Michael called her because they wanted to write a song together. And she was like, well, I said, well, you write your lyrics and I'll write mine. And she's on the little old laptop and she's like, okay, so what's your lyrics? What do you want to say? And she's like typing them out. And you hear her voice. It's the same voice that we've always heard, right? Because there's always like, that ain't really her voice. I'm like, no, like we're seeing it in 1993, her talking to her brother. Like, it's not like a fake voice. But that moment of just seeing them in the room together, being creative, right? Writing the lyrics to Scream in 1993. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I want to see more moments. I want to see those moments because I think it will round out what I felt often by taking in her music. Even just seeing that was like, oh, this is kind of her writing process and how she comes up with lyrics. Exactly. He said fucked up. And she was like, oh, no.
That's not gonna work.
And then she's like, well, it's his song. Like, it's his song, but I don't think
Right.
So yeah, that's for me. So what's your last question for me?
Actually, the last question for you is, J. Ray, how can people make sure that they are down with us tomorrow night during the episode 1 of the Janet Jackson documentary, during our viewing party? Because if they don't know by now, we got to let them know one more time. They just have a few hours they can join us.
Yes, so, please. So I'm actually going to put the screen. I'm going to put it on the screen. Okay. And I'm going to put it on the screen and I'm going to type it. I'm going to take a minute. It's normally on my desktop, but it ain't on my desktop right now, but I'm typing it in. Janet Events, RSVP. Here's the deal, y'all. Y'all can join us tomorrow. We're actually going to be in Zoom tomorrow, watching the night 1 of the Janet Jackson documentary. The link is now in the chat. You can still RSVP to join us. So here's the deal. We're going to open the doors at 7:30. We might open a little early, play some music, you know what I'm saying? Do what we do. But me and Sir Daniel are going to chat a little bit. do our Q points thing. We got a lot of RSVPs, so we got a lot of new people that are not familiar with Q points. So we're going to introduce them to Q points, and then we just go watch the documentary together and kind of be in the chat. So if you just want to hang out with some folks, and take in this incredible cultural moment, the link is there. Come and join us and watch this documentary with the whole community. But like I said, Black Gay Stuck at Home have been partnering with us to bring this to the masses. So shout out to Black Gay Stuck at Home again. You can check out their website at bgsah.com. I'm going to put that in the chat too. But yeah, join us tomorrow on Zoom. Make sure you RSVP. You can't get in if you don't RSVP.
Okay.
Don't want no trolls up in there. And come acting right too. Love, come with the love. This is Janet Love. And just wanted to kind of share in this moment together. So that's how you can do it. So a couple more things before we get out of here. Please, if you have not done so, make sure that you subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, and also make sure that you go ahead and leave us a review over there. It really does help to spread the word about the show. Also, leave us a review over on Podchaser. Make sure that you do that. And subscribe to us on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube and you haven't hit the subscribe button, go ahead and hit that button and click the bell so you can be notified about future Q Points episodes. And yeah, that's how you can join us tomorrow and do all the stuff.
So, without further ado, I'm about to get some rest, y'all, because I gotta be ready for tomorrow night. I'm stretching. I'm
crazy, but I'm serious.
I gotta find something to wear. And don't look at me weird, because I know some of y'all are doing the same thing. You got to find something because this is an experience, and we're all sharing it together. But folks, I've had a blast. J. Ray, this was fun.
This is fun.
We might have to do this again, this particular format again, another time. But everybody, thank you so much for joining us tonight. But remember, what do I always say in this life? You can either pick up the needle or you can let the record play. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And I am J. Ray. Peace.
Peace. This has been Q Points. Carlson will holler at you.